I presented my granddaughter with a necklace that once belonged to my departed wife on her birthday, a cherished family relic brimming with the affection of past eras. Yet she turned it down, labeling it worthless trash right in front of her companions and shattering my spirit. I am an elderly grandfather brimming with fond recollections. She is a contemporary young woman dazzled by the allure of the contemporary. You won't imagine her reaction upon discovering the true worth of the necklace. Before we proceed, kindly subscribe to the channel and share your location in the comments. Happy birthday, dear. I delved into the inner pocket of my jacket, my fingers wrapping around the well-known velvet case that had been anticipating this occasion for 5 years. Lucy was encircled by her university pals in Dennis's living room, gift wrapping strewn about her feet like scattered foliage. The soft illumination from the ceiling fixtures highlighted her reddish-brown hair, so reminiscent of Eleanor's at that same stage of life. She pivoted toward me with eager gaze, her hands extending forward. "From Grandpa?" "This had better be impressive," she chuckled, and her friends tittered from behind their wine goblets. I set the antique container in her hands, observing her expression closely. "This was your great-great-grandmother's." "Your great-great-grandmother?" "Oh." Lucy's face altered as she flipped open the cover. The vintage necklace rested on worn satin, a platinum frame holding 3 rubies encircled by diamonds, fashioned in 1923. A gem from a bygone time. She eyed it for perhaps 3 seconds, or even fewer. The container snapped closed. "Grandpa, this seems like bargain bin rubbish from a swap meet." She slid it back to me over the coffee table. "I mean, really, this ancient piece?" My hand stayed suspended in the air. The spurned case lingered between us like a tiny casket. "Lucy, that's a family treasure," Dennis murmured from his spot by the hearth. Sarah shifted uneasily on the sofa, her educator's senses detecting the seriousness of the situation. "Quit backing it up, Dad. And you as well, Grandpa." Lucy's tone held a biting sharpness I'd never encountered. Her friends murmured to each other, obviously entertained by the outdated offering. "Return when you've got an actual gift. Like accessories from this era." The space grew hushed save for the faint drone of the dishwasher. I gazed at the case, Eleanor's last desire fragmenting like fall foliage in my heart. 5 years of meticulous preparation. 5 years of anticipating Lucy's 21st birthday. My voice faltered under the burden of 3 lineages weighing on my frame. Lucy had already pivoted back to her companions, brushing me off with effortless nonchalance. "Sorry, ladies. Elderly folks don't grasp current fashion." I retrieved the case. My fingers shook a bit as I tucked it back into my jacket pocket, the velvet cozy against my skin. The living room hummed with fresh dialogue, but I registered none of it. Dennis met my gaze, his features lined with worry. "Dad, it's okay." The phrase emerged more firmly than I sensed. "Savor the remainder of your celebration, Lucy." I headed for the front entrance, each stride intentional and steady. Behind me, chuckles burst forth over another person's present. Likely something trendy and pricey, something fitting for a girl of the 21st century. The crisp April breeze struck my face as I emerged outdoors. My vehicle sat in the driveway, dependable and enduring like a longtime companion. I lingered behind the steering wheel for a few minutes, the motor humming, heated air streaming from the vents, the jewelry case pressing against my side through my coat. Eleanor's words resonated in my thoughts. "Promise me, Sin, when she's prepared to grasp what family signifies." Maybe Lucy just wasn't prepared yet. The journey home blurred by in a haze of street lamps and well-known curves. My suburban area rested tranquil at 9:30, veranda lights shining like far-off constellations. I maneuvered into my driveway and paused briefly, attuned to the engine's cooling clicks. Indoors, quiet enveloped me, a sharp difference from the festive babble I'd abandoned. I draped my jacket neatly in the entry closet, yet retained the velvet case in my grasp. Its heft felt more substantial now, laden with letdown. My living room embraced me with its cozy familiarity. Eleanor's portrait looked down from over the fireplace, her grin eternally preserved in pigments and devotion. I eased into my leather recliner, the one she'd purchased for our 30th anniversary, and positioned the case on the coffee table. "Well, Eleanor," I addressed her depicted eyes, "our granddaughter wasn't entirely set for your revelation." The case appeared tinier on the table's glossy top. I unveiled it gradually with reverence. The necklace seized the lamp's glow, rubies shining like beads of solidified vintage. Each diamond twinkled with imprisoned flame, the platinum mount sleek as satin under my touch. I'd overlooked how truly exquisite it was. My coffee table's compartment glided open with a soft murmur. Within were orderly piles of papers, coverage documents, financial records, Eleanor's concluding missives. I located what I sought. The gem evaluation from 2020, $120,000. The figure glared back from formal stationery. The evaluator had deemed it an exceptional specimen of 1920s artistry, worthy of a gallery. Under the evaluation rested a handwritten message composed in her last days. Her precise handwriting adorned the ivory sheet. My beloved Sin, if you're perusing this, our Lucy has turned 21. Kindly bestow upon her great-great-grandmother's necklace, solely if she displays fitting regard for family customs. If she's grown overly contemporary, overly unappreciative, hold off. Hold off until she comprehends that certain riches can't be purchased in shops, only gained via eras of affection. I followed Eleanor's script with my digit. She'd foreseen it. In some way, she'd predicted this precise instant. The necklace reposed in its case like a dormant gem. 3 rubies symbolizing 3 lineages of women who'd donned it with dignity. Great-great-grandmother Margaret at her 1923 nuptials. Great-grandmother Rose at social gatherings during the economic downturn. Eleanor at our wedding in 1978. Each lady had grasped its meaning beyond simple financial merit. I raised the necklace gingerly, sensing its considerable mass. The links cascaded like fluid argent between my fingers. This wasn't imitation baubles from a budget outlet. This was artisanship from a period when creators valued longevity. She dubbed it swap meet trash, I murmured to Eleanor's portrait. Your great-great-grandmother's matrimonial necklace. The dismay weighed heavily in my core, but beneath it, another sentiment blossomed. Safeguarding. This necklace embodied 4 lineages of devotion, forfeiture, and familial dignity. Lucy might share our blood, but blood by itself didn't render someone deserving of such an inheritance. Eleanor's note crinkled as I creased it meticulously. Hold off until she comprehends, she'd inscribed. Perhaps that moment would arrive. Perhaps Lucy would evolve, would come to prize essence over appearance, heritage over fads. Until then, I had a vow to uphold, not merely to present the necklace, but to present it only when Lucy demonstrated worthiness of the women who'd adorned it previously. I stood from my seat, case nestled in my hands like a modest supplication. Upstairs, my bedroom vault awaited. The necklace would dwell there, shielded and enduring, until Lucy developed into the lady Eleanor trusted she could be. Dawn's rays seeped through my bedroom drapes, but rest had eluded me. The vault's electronic latch illuminated green after I inputted the code. Eleanor's birth date, then mine. The velvet case settled inside amid other vital papers, safe and biding time. Downstairs, as coffee percolated, I navigated my morning habits with automatic accuracy. But my thoughts stayed anchored to the previous evening's hurtful episode. In the living room, picture collections occupied the lower ledge of our bookshelf. I extracted the one labeled 1978 and sank into my chair. There was Eleanor on our marriage day, the necklace adorning her neck like ensnared celestial light. Her grandmother Rose had demanded she wear it, something borrowed from the past, she'd uttered with misty eyes. Eleanor had been 24 then, younger than Lucy now, but already embodying a depth that my granddaughter appeared to miss. I flipped pages leisurely, observing our existence emerge in washed-out hues. Eleanor in the yard, Eleanor instructing religious classes, Eleanor cradling newborn Dennis. In each image, she exuded the sort of depth that couldn't be acquired or instructed, only experienced. By midday, solitude bore down on my chest like a familiar pain. I phoned Mike Henderson, my comrade from our instructing years, while tinkering in the kitchen. Sin, how was the birthday gathering? Mike's tone crackled via the phone speaker. Not exactly as anticipated. I fetched remaining broth from the fridge, thankful for basic chores. Youngsters nowadays, they're unlike our cohort. Unlike how? I paused. Allegiance to Lucy clashing with the desire for insight. Less regard for conventional principles. Lineage seems insignificant. Mike laughed, but gently. My grandson inquired last week why I retained my dad's timepiece when I could simply rely on my device. Perhaps we're the outdated ones, pal. Perhaps. But even as I voiced it, an inner resistance stirred. Certain elements surpassed generational tastes. Courtesy, thankfulness, the awareness that affection frequently arrived in unforeseen forms. The third day delivered insight. I sat in my office, Eleanor's ultimate letter laid out before me like a guide through sorrow. Her penmanship stayed as recognizable as my own, deliberate curves and firm lines that mirrored her character flawlessly. The recollection emerged unsolicited. Eleanor in her clinic bed, frail yet resolute, her fingers clutching mine with unexpected vigor. "Sin, vow something to me." Her tone had been fragile as a breath, but pressing. "The necklace. Deliver it to Lucy on her 21st birthday, but only if she's deserving of our family heritage. Naturally, darling. Whatever you desire." "No." Her hold intensified. "Hear me out. If she's turned too contemporary, too centered on possessions without grasping their genuine worth, delay. Delay until she realizes that some valuables can't be obtained, only accrued through ages of affection and concession." I'd vowed without complete comprehension. Then mourning had obscured my discernment, rendered Eleanor's statements appear like the mutterings of a fading lady, but she'd been clear-headed, visionary even. Now I grasped it. This wasn't about penalizing Lucy. It was about preserving something invaluable until she could sincerely value its significance. The telephone chimed, jolting me from reminiscence. Dennis's name flashed on the display. "Dad, I aim to see how you're faring after last night." Lucy was well, she was rather severe. "She's youthful," I responded instinctively, though the terms rang empty. "That's no justification for impoliteness. Sarah and I discussed it. We believe perhaps we've been overly permissive with her expenditures, her demeanor." I pondered, revealing Eleanor's letter, clarifying the necklace's actual merit. But an instinct restrained me. This choice was mine to render. Mine and Eleanor's. "Time teaches lessons we cannot," I offered instead. After disconnecting, I went back to my office and retrieved the coverage dossier. $120,000, exceeding what many earned in 2 years. Lucy had rejected a fortune as swap meet trash without another peek. But currency wasn't the authentic gem. Esteem was, comprehension was, the acknowledgement that some bestowals bore the gravity of eras. Twilight shades extended over my desk as I reached my conclusive resolution. The necklace would stay in the vault guarded and steadfast. When Lucy ripened sufficiently to inquire about family lore, to exhibit true curiosity in the women who'd donned it prior, then we'd converse. Until then, I'd respect Eleanor's insight and my own pledge. Some heritages were too vital to waste on unprepared souls. The office felt tranquil as I secured the coverage documents. Somewhere in Boston, Lucy was likely giggling with pals, brushing off last night as merely another clumsy kin incident. But existence had methods of imparting wisdom to those open to it. Eleanor's portrait observed from the living room partition, her look calm and perceptive. She'd comprehended humanity more profoundly than many, when to bestow, when to pause, when to believe that affection would ultimately return. I could pause. We both could. Midday sun poured through my office panes as I organized vintage teaching outlines, finding solace in routine patterns. The phone's piercing tone sliced through the serene home like a dagger. "Hello, Grandpa. It's Lucy." Her voice dripped with honey, overly saccharine, overly cautious. "I've been reflecting on the other evening and I feel utterly awful about my behavior." My hold firmed on the handset. "Is that right?" "I was intoxicated, you see, university bashes and such. I didn't truly examine your present correctly." A hesitation, scheming. "Mom phoned yesterday and informed me, well, she detailed the necklace, its background." The falsehood stung even across the line. "What precisely did your mother convey?" "That it's been in our lineage for ages. That it's genuinely precious and unique." Her tone trembled a tad, doubt seeping in. "I had no clue, Grandpa. I figured it was merely some outdated fake gems." "You termed your great-great-grandmother's matrimonial necklace bargain trash from a swap meet." The phrases dangled between us like frost. Quiet extended. When Lucy replied, the sweetness had soured. "Look, I said I regretted it, I erred. Can't you simply pardon me and allow me the dumb item?" "The dumb item?" I echoed softly. "I mean the necklace, the family relic." Her tone hardened with urgency. "Grandpa, I truly require this at the moment. University is costly and I've got some money troubles to resolve." There it emerged, the reality under the gloss. "Lucy, you're not prepared for that duty." Prepared? Her facade fully dissolved. "I'm 21 years old. I'm grown. And Mom told me that necklace is valued at over $100,000. The amount struck like a tangible strike. Sarah had disclosed the precise coverage amount. "So now you value it," I stated, my voice firm despite the hurt. "Now that you know its cash value." "Of course I value it. Do you realize how much debt I'm burdened with? How much I need that cash?" Lucy's voice splintered with rage. You're being self-centered, you ancient idiot. It's my birthright. It ought to be mine. Each term twisted like a blade. Your great-great-grandmother would be mortified by you currently. Don't preach to me about deceased folks. I need tangible aid, not mushy nonsense about family lore. Lucy's breaths came in furious bursts. Hand over what's mine or I'll discover another means to obtain it. The connection severed. I sat clutching the mute handset, its material warm against my ear. Outdoors, a cardinal perched on my window ledge, its crimson plumage vivid against the pane. Existence persisted in its usual rhythms while my kin disintegrated around me. The tone droned its robotic lament. Evening shadows stretched across my kitchen table as I stared at Dennis's number on my phone screen. 6 hours had passed since Lucy's call. 6 hours of pacing and worrying and trying to understand how my sweet granddaughter had become this desperate stranger. Idealed before I could change my mind. Dad, everything okay? Dennis sounded tired, probably just getting home from work. I need to talk to you about Lucy. The words felt heavy in my throat. I'm worried about her. Really worried. A pause. She's just going through a phase, Dad. College changes kids. Sarah and I went through the same thing with our independence. This isn't independence, Dennis. She called me today screaming about that necklace. Actually screaming. I rubbed my forehead, feeling every one of my 68 years. She knows exactly how much it's worth, Sarah told her. Dennis's voice grew quieter. After the birthday party, Lucy was asking questions. Sarah thought. Well, she thought if Lucy understood the value, she'd appreciate the gesture more. And did she? Silence stretched between us. Finally, Dennis sighed. She called Sarah 3 times yesterday asking about getting the necklace appraised, asked if there was paperwork proving its value. My heart sank further. So she sees it as a commodity, not a family treasure. Dad, I have to be honest. Sarah and I have been noticing changes in Lucy for months now. Everything's about money and status, designer clothes, expensive dinners, keeping up with her sorority friends. Dennis's voice carried the weight of paternal disappointment. We thought it was normal college behavior, but she asked me for $5,000 last month. Said it was for textbooks and school supplies. When I suggested she get a part-time job instead, she had a complete meltdown. The puzzle pieces clicked together with sickening clarity. She's in debt. We think so, but she won't admit it. Won't talk to us about it. Dennis's voice cracked slightly. Your mother would be heartbroken seeing Lucy like this. Eleanor knew this might happen. She told me to wait until Lucy was worthy of the family legacy. I touched the letter in my shirt pocket. Eleanor's wisdom more pregnant than ever. I didn't understand then, I don't now. What are we going to do, Dad? I don't know. The admission felt like defeat, but I won't reward this behavior. That necklace represents 4 generations of love and sacrifice. Lucy sees it as a quick cash solution. She's our family, Dad. We can't just give upon her. I'm not giving up. I'm protecting something precious until she learns to value it properly. I stared out my kitchen window at the darkening sky. Your mother trusted me to make this decision. I have to honor that trust. We sat in shared silence. 2 men who loved the same girl but couldn't reach her anymore. Keep an eye on her, Dennis. Something's not right in her world. I will, Dad, and thank you for calling. I needed to know we're not crazy for being worried. After hanging up, I remained at the kitchen table until full darkness fell. Somewhere in Boston, Lucy was probably planning her next move. Somewhere else, Dennis was probably holding Sarah's hand, both of them wondering where they'd gone wrong. The house felt too quiet, too empty. Tomorrow, I decided I'd stick to simpler routines, grocery shopping, normal life. Whatever storm was coming, I'd face it with dignity and tact. Morning brought a determination to maintain normal patterns despite family chaos. I made my coffee stronger than usual, checked the weather forecast twice, and reviewed my shopping list with methodical precision. Routine would be my anchor. Before leaving, I double-checked the front door lock, then tested it again. The deadbolt clicked solidly into place. Security had become more important lately, though I couldn't quite explain why. The drive to Henderson's Market took exactly 17 minutes. Same as always. Spring sunshine warmed my car windows, and for brief moments, I almost forgot about Lucy's angry voice and Dennis's worried silence. Morning, Mr. Brewer. Mary Castellaniano waved from behind the checkout counter, her gray curls bouncing. Haven't seen you in almost a week. Have you been keeping? Fine, Mary. Just stocking up for the rest of April. I selected a shopping cart, its familiar squeak somehow comforting. The store's aisles held their usual comfort. Predictable inventory, fair prices, neighbors nodding hello. I chose bread, milk, fresh vegetables, moving through my list with practiced efficiency. Normal tasks for a normal Thursday. Your granddaughter's still in college? Mary asked as she rang up my groceries 40 minutes later. Boston University. She's growing up. The careful words tasted like dust. They always do. My Tommy's 23 now. Thinks he knows everything. Mary bagged my items with practice speed, but they come around eventually. Family blood runs deep. I hope she was right. The drive home felt shorter, perhaps because I dreaded returning to an empty house full of worried thoughts. My driveway looked exactly as I'd left it. Mailbox straight, lawn recently mowed, everything orderly and peaceful until I saw my front door. It stood slightly ajar, maybe 2 inches of darkness visible between the door and frame. My hands went cold on the steering wheel. I'd locked that door twice. I had always locked that door. Parking carefully, I sat in my car for several long moments, studying the house with new eyes, no broken windows, no obvious signs of damage. But that door definitely unmistakably unlocked and partially open. My phone felt heavy in my pocket. Should I call the police, Dennis? But what if I was mistaken? What if age was making me forgetful about security? No, I'd checked that lock twice this morning. Someone had been inside my house. I approached the front steps with careful, quiet footsteps. The door's opening was wider than I'd thought. Easily 4 in now, as if movement inside had pushed it further open. Listening at the threshold, I heard nothing. No voices, no footsteps, no obvious sounds of intrusion. But something felt wrong. The way air pressure changes before a storm. My hand reached for the door knob, then hesitated. Whatever waited inside had already violated my home, my sanctuary. The question was whether they were still there. The brass knob felt cold under my palm as I prepared to push the door open and discover what awaited me in my own living room. The front door swung open with a whisper. My groceries hit the entryway floor as I stepped inside, heart hammering against my ribs. Everything looked wrong. The hall table sat askew, its drawer hanging open like a gaping mouth. Eleanor's umbrella stand had been moved 3 feet from its usual spot. Moving deeper into the house, I discovered chaos masquerading as careful search. Living room couch cushions lay scattered, revealing the wooden frame beneath. My coffee table drawer, the one containing insurance papers, gaped empty. Documents strewn across the carpet like fallen snow. Someone had been methodical, professional almost. Eleanor's portrait above the mantelpiece hung crooked, and my blood turned to ice. The bedroom, the safe. Iran upstairs with more speed than my 68-year-old legs should have managed. Behind Eleanor's moved portrait, the wall safe stood open, its steel door hanging like a broken promise. Empty, completely, devastatingly empty. The velvet jewelry box gone. The insurance papers scattered on the floor. 5 years of careful protection destroyed in minutes. My phone trembled in my hands as I dialed 911. Emergency services, I've been robbed. The words came out raw, broken. Someone broke into my house, stole family valuables. Sir, are you safe? Is the intruder still present? I don't know. I just got home from a sound from downstairs cut through my panic. Kitchen cabinets closing. Footsteps on linoleum. Sir, are you there? Someone's still here. I whispered into the phone, every nerve screaming danger. They're in my kitchen. Stay on the line. Units are responding, but I couldn't wait. That necklace represented Eleanor's final wish. 4 generations of family love. Whoever was downstairs had violated more than my home. They desecrated my wife's memory. Setting the phone on my dresser, I moved toward the stairs. Each step creaked, a warning, but determination overrode caution. The kitchen sounds continued. A cabinet door, the squeak of hinges, someone moving with purpose. At the kitchen doorway, I paused. My hands gripped the frame for support, knuckles white with tension. Whatever waited beyond that threshold would change everything. The back door stood partially open, afternoon sunlight streaming through the gap. A figure crouched near the exit, stuffing items into a canvas bag. I stepped forward, preparing for confrontation with the stranger. Instead, the figure looked up, and my world shattered completely. Auburn hair caught the light, familiar green eyes wide with terror. The face I'd kissed goodnight for 13 years before college stole her away. Lucy. Lucy froze like a deer in headlights, 1 foot already outside my back door. The canvas bag clutched to her chest revealed the corner of a familiar velvet box. What are you doing here? My voice came out as a whisper, brain struggling to process the impossible scene before me. She couldn't look at me, couldn't speak, just stood there trembling, caught between escape and explanation. You robbed me. The words felt foreign in my mouth. Your own grandfather, Grandpa? Her voice cracked like thin ice. The velvet box corner poked from her bag. Eleanor's jewelry box. The one that had sat in our safe for 5 years waiting for a worthy recipient. My legs nearly gave out. You stole your grandmother's necklace. Lucy's shoulders shook. I needed the money. I didn't want to. I never wanted to hurt you. Hurt me. I moved closer, anger building beneath the shock. You violated our home. Eleanor's memory. Everything we taught you about family. I was going to return it. The words tumbled out desperately. After I sold it, paid off my debts, I was going to tell you I lost it somehow. The magnitude of her deception hit like a physical blow. You planned to lie to my face about losing your grandmother's most precious possession. Tears streamed down her cheeks now. I couldn't think of any other way. Any other way to do what exactly? Lucy sagged against the doorframe, bag sliding down her chest. I owe money. Lots of money. Credit cards, online shopping. I can't make the payments anymore. My kitchen table seemed miles away, but somehow we both ended up sitting across from each other. Criminal and victim. Granddaughter and grandfather. Two people whose relationship had just been blown apart. How much money? I asked quietly. $5,000. The number hung between us like a death sentence spread across 3 different cards. Minimum payments are due and I don't have. So you decided to steal from family. I was desperate. Lucy slammed her palm on the table, making Eleanor's salt and pepper shakers jump. Everyone at school has money. Real money. Designer clothes, expensive dinners, spring break trips to Europe. I just wanted to fit in by stealing a priceless family heirloom. I researched it online. Won $20,000, right? I was only going to sell it for enough to cover my debts. Maybe $20,000, the rest. I figured you'd never know the difference. The casual way she discussed dismantling our family legacy made my stomach turn. This wasn't my granddaughter speaking. This was a stranger wearing Lucy's face. And after you lost it, I'd finish college, get a good job, maybe buy you something nice to replace it. Lucy wiped her nose with her sleeve, looking suddenly very young. I thought I could fix everything before anyone got hurt. Before anyone got hurt? I repeated her words slowly. Lucy, you just destroyed our entire relationship. The truth of that statement hit both of us simultaneously. Lucy's face crumpled and I felt something precious die inside me chest. Lucy reached into her bag with shaking hands and placed the velvet box on my kitchen table. I'm sorry, Grandpa. I'm so sorry. I opened the box carefully, checking Eleanor's necklace for damage. The rubies caught afternoon light streaming through my window. Still beautiful, still perfect, but somehow diminished by what it had just endured. Tell me everything. My voice sounded older than my years. Start from the beginning. Lucy took a shuddering breath. It started freshman year. My roommate's parents bought her a car, a BMW for her birthday just because. Her hands twisted in her lap. Everyone in my dorm has trust funds, unlimited credit cards, parents who wire money for weekend shopping trips. And you felt left out. I felt poor, ashamed. Lucy's voice dropped to barely audible. I got my first credit card sophomore year just for emergencies, I told myself. But then me sorority sisters invited me to spring break in Cancun. How much for the trip? $2,000, flights, hotel, spending money. She looked up at me with red-rimmed eyes. I told myself I'd pay it back with summer job money. But then fall semester started and everyone had new clothes, new everything. I remained silent, letting her continue. The debt kept growing. Designer jeans so I wouldn't look like a scholarship kid. Dinners at expensive restaurants because that's where my friends went. $1,000 purse because everyone commented on my cheap Target bag. Lucy's voice grew smaller with each confession. Before I knew it, I owed $5,000 across 3 carts. Why didn't you come to us? Your parents, me. We would have helped. Dad and Mom are already stretching to pay my tuition. Dad mentioned maybe taking a second mortgage to cover my junior year expenses. Lucy wiped her eyes. How could I tell them I'd wasted $5,000 on clothes and parties while they're sacrificing everything for my education? The picture became clearer, more heartbreaking. So you decided to steal instead. I saw the insurance papers when I was little. You showed me the safe once. Remember when I asked about Grandma's jewelry? Lucy's confession tumbled out like a broken dam. After Mom told me the necklace was worth over $100,000, I researched auction houses online. I thought I could sell it, pay off the cards, and no one would ever know. And you thought I wouldn't notice my wife's most precious possession was missing? I was going to stage a burglary, make it look like random theft. Lucy's voice grew even quieter. I had it all planned out. I'd come visit next week. We'd discover the break-in together. You'd file an insurance claim. The coldness of her planning shocked me more than the theft itself. You were going to let me believe strangers had violated our home. I know how it sounds, but I was drowning. Grandpa, collection calls started last week. They're threatening to contact my parents, the school financial aid office. Lucy buried her face in her hands. I graduate in a year. I just needed to make it through without ruining everyone's life. Instead, you've ruined ours. The kitchen fell silent, except for the refrigerator's gentle hum. Outside, a dog barked somewhere down the street. Normal life continuing while ours fell apart. The worst part, I said finally, is that you were right about one thing. We would have helped. Your parents, me, we would have found a way. I know that now. Lucy's voice came out muffled. But I was so ashamed, so scared of disappointing everyone. So you chose betrayal instead of trust. I chose wrong. I chose everything wrong. She looked up at me with Eleanor's eyes, and my heart broke a little more. I don't know how to fix this. Neither did I. Sirens wailed in the distance, growing louder with each passing second. Lucy's eyes went wide with terror. They're coming for me, she whispered, voice barely audible above the approaching sound. I looked at my granddaughter, truly looked at her, and saw not a criminal, but a frightened young woman who'd made terrible choices. In that moment, everything Eleanor had taught me about family came flooding back. Quick, I stood abruptly, decision crystallizing. Go to the basement. Behind the furnace, there's a storage room. Hide there, and don't come out until I tell you. Grandpa, what if they trust me? I guided her toward the basement stairs, my hand firm on her shoulder. Stay quiet no matter what you hear. Lucy disappeared into the darkness below just as red and blue lights flashed through my front windows. 2 patrol cars pulled into my driveway, officers emerging with practiced efficiency. I took a deep breath, straightened my shoulders, and opened the front door before they could knock. Mr. Brewer. The first officer, a middle-aged Hispanic man with kind eyes, stepped forward. I'm Officer Ramirez. You called about a break-in. Yes, and I'm terribly sorry. I forced my voice to sound embarrassed, confused. I made a mistake. A very costly mistake. Officer Hayes, younger and more skeptical, studied my face carefully. What kind of mistake, sir? I forgot to lock my doors this morning. When I came home from grocery shopping, the wind had blown them open. I panicked, thought someone had broken in. I gestured helplessly. Old man's nerves, I'm afraid. Did you check the entire house? Ramirez asked. I did. Nothing's missing. Nothing's disturbed. Just an old fool who forgot his own carelessness. I met his eyes steadily, praying my voice wouldn't betray the lie. Hayes consulted his paperwork. Sir, false emergency calls carry a $500 fine. Are you aware of that? The number hit like a physical blow, but I nodded. I understand completely. It's my fault and I'll pay whatever is required. We'll need you to sign here acknowledging the false report. Hayes handed me a clipboard. My signature felt strange, shaky. $500, nearly a month of grocery money, but worth every penny to protect Lucy from the consequences of her desperation. Will that be cash or check? Ramirez asked, his tone softening slightly. Check, please. I wrote it carefully, my teacher's penmanship steady despite my racing heart. After they left, I stood at my front door until their taillights disappeared. Only then did I call down to the basement. Lucy, you can come up now. She emerged slowly, tears streaming down her face. Grandpa, you lied to the police. For me? I protected my family. The words came out firmer than I felt. There's a difference, but $500 money I can spare. Your future I cannot. I guided her back to the kitchen table where Eleanor's necklace still lay in its velvet box. Now we need to talk about what happens next. Lucy sat heavily, the weight of my sacrifice visible in every line of her body. We sat in my living room, surrounded by the debris of broken trust. Lucy perched on the edge of Eleanor's favorite chair while I retrieved family documents from the desk drawer. Before we discuss your future, you need to understand what you almost sold. I opened a leather portfolio containing insurance papers, photographs, and Eleanor's handwritten family history. This necklace was crafted in 1923 for your great-great-grandmother's wedding. Lucy leaned forward as I spread black and white photographs across the coffee table. She wore it during the Depression when families were losing everything. Instead of selling it, she hid it in the cellar wall. Why didn't she sell it for food money? Because some things matter more than survival. I pointed to a faded wedding photo. Your great-grandmother wore it to her own wedding in 1942, right before her husband shipped overseas. He didn't come home. Lucy's fingers traced the photo's edges. I never knew any of this. And here's your grandmother, my Eleanor, wearing it at our wedding. The color photograph showed a Eleanor, radiant in white silk, the rubies catching churchlight. She earned the right to wear it through character, through sacrifice, through putting others before herself. How did she earn it? She spent 3 years caring for her dying mother while working 2 jobs and raising her father as a baby. I closed the album gently. She never complained, never asked for help, never considered her own needs. Lucy stared at the insurance appraisal. $120,000. That's just money. Its real value can't be measured. I leaned back in my chair, studying my granddaughter's face. Eleanor made me promise to give it to you only when you understood what family loyalty really means. And I failed that test completely. Not failed, not yet. I pulled out a legal pad and pen. But there are conditions for your future. Real conditions. Lucy nodded eagerly. Anything. First, we tell your parents everything tonight. No more lies, no more secrets. They'll be devastated. They'll be disappointed, but they'll also help because that's what families do. I wrote as I spoke. Second, I'll pay your $5,000 in debts, but you'll work it off through community service. 50 hours for every 1,000. 250 hours. Character isn't built through easy paths, I continued writing. Third, you'll see a financial counselor at college and attend budgeting workshops. Fourth, you'll call me every Sunday evening for check-ins. Lucy watched me write, tears threatening again. What about the necklace? When you graduate Debtree, when you've demonstrated a year of responsible financial choices, when you can tell me what family loyalty means without reading from a textbook, then we'll discuss it. That could take years. Good things usually do. I finished writing and handed her the paper. Sign this. It's our contract. She read carefully, then signed with a trembling hand. Grandpa, why are you giving me another chance after what I did? Because your grandmother believed in second chances. Because you're 21 and still learning. Because I love you enough to set boundaries. I folded the paper carefully. And because true family doesn't abandon each other in crisis. Lucy burst into tears. Then real tears, not manipulation. I moved to her chair and held her like I had when she was 7 years old and had nightmares. We'll call your parents in an hour, I said softly. Together, and then we'll start rebuilding what was broken. For the first time in days, hope felt possible. After our phone call with Dennis and Sarah, tearful, difficult, but ultimately healing, Lucy and I began restoring order to my violated home. She worked with desperate energy as if physical effort could repair emotional damage. Hand me those insurance papers, I said, reorganizing the coffee table drawer she'd ransacked hours earlier. Lucy gathered scattered documents carefully. Grandpa, at college, everyone has so much money. I felt like the poor relative at every social event. True wealth isn't money, dear. I accepted the papers from her hands. It's the people who love you unconditionally. We moved to the bedroom where my open safe gaped like a wound. Lucy watched as I returned Eleanor's necklace to its place of honor. Would Grandma be disappointed in me? She asked quietly. She'd be proud that you found courage to confess and change. I closed the safe with finality. Eleanor believed people could grow from their mistakes. In the kitchen, we prepared a simple dinner together. Grilled cheese sandwiches and tomato soup, comfort food from Lucy's childhood. She moved around my kitchen with remembered familiarity, retrieving plates from cabinets she'd known since age 5. I miss this, she said, ladling soup into bowls. Coming here after school, doing homework at your table while you graded papers. You're always welcome here, but next time use the front door. The gentle joke earned me a watery smile. We ate slowly, talking about college courses, her major, future plans that didn't involve theft. As evening shadows lengthened, Lucy helped me load the dishwasher. I should go back to campus, she said reluctantly. Face reality. Reality is not going anywhere, but facing it with family support makes all the difference. I hugged her tightly. Our first genuine embrace since her birthday. Remember our agreement. Sunday phone calls, financial counseling, complete honesty. I remember everything. Lucy stepped back, shouldering her bag. Thank you for saving me today. From the police, from myself. That's what grandfathers do. 2 weeks later, my phone rang on a Sunday evening. Hi, Grandpa. It's Lucy. Right in time. How was your week? Better. I started seeing a counselor at the student health center, and I told Mom and Dad about the exact amounts I owed. Her voice sounded stronger, more mature. Dad said, "You taught me well about taking responsibility." How did they react to the debt details? They were upset, but grateful I was finally honest. Mom cried, but she said she was proud of me for getting help. Lucy paused. Grandpa, I've been thinking about what you said about earning the right to wear Grandma's necklace, and I think I understand now. It's not about the money or even the jewelry. It's about being the kind of person who honors what came before. Through my living room window, I could see Eleanor's portrait in the lamplight, her smile somehow approving. When you truly understand that, Lucy, we'll talk about your future inheritance. Until then, keep learning, keep growing. I will. I love you, Grandpa. I love you too, sweetheart. More than any necklace could ever be worth. After hanging up, I sat in my quiet house feeling genuinely hopeful for the first time in weeks. Family bonds once broken could be rewired stronger than before if both people were willing to do the difficult work of rebuilding trust. Eleanor would have been proud. If you like this story, please like this video, subscribe to the channel, and share your impressions of this story in the comments. To listen to the next story, click on the box on the left. Thank you for watching.